So the first time I met Valentino was actually kind of a funny story. I found out after the fact that I had missed his appearance at the car show. So, well, I bet he's staying at the hotel where they had the show. I go online, I find out the phone number of the hotel, called up. I just found out you were at the Festival of Speed yesterday, but I found out too late and I missed your appearance. It was a race against time. He was supposed to leave at 11 o'clock. This conversation took place at 10:20 in the morning, and there's a 20-minute drive. I drive down there and actually get pulled over by the police doing 110 miles an hour, and I didn't even have my driver's license.
You got a speeding ticket also.
And we ended up, you know, taking the pictures, of course, and having a very pleasant, very personal conversation for about an hour and a half. Okay, we are on our way to Lamborghini, Sarasota for round 2 with one of my heroes, Valentino Balboni. This is a guy that literally started out by being an apprentice to the mechanics at the factory as an 18-year-old kid, and was literally sweeping the floors.
Be a documentary.
It's as real as it gets, man. Trust me when I say that.
Precise. That two-wheel drive allows you to get a little bit of that edge back, you know.
Hey,
Ciao.
How are you? Nice to see you again.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time for this interview.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, sir, like take us back to the very beginning of how you started with Lamborghini when you were a young boy driving to church, I believe it was.
More or less. Yes. Well, it was a beautiful day in April '68, and I was just driving by a Lamborghini, and I saw in a yard a couple of big trucks downloading newer bodies. And this is how I started looking at the car, and I went in and asking to the man at the gate, at the security, which was the only man taking care of everything. And I ended up completing an employment form, and after a week I was working at Lamborghini, and this was April 21st, 1968.
What was your first job?
Well, I started after the school as apprentice, helping the old mechanics, working on the cars, cleaning the car, cleaning the floors, just doing the very first things after the school, and I was an apprentice.
How long did it take from when you first got hired to where they actually gave you the keys to a car?
Well, let's say the first time happened after 5-6 years, I would say.
5-6 years?
Yes. And this was the first time I took a Miura out of the road for a testing. Was one of the last Miura SV that we manufactured, the black Miura with the white interior. And this was on September 5, 1973.
You remember the exact?
Of course, I remember time, date, hour, minutes, everything around that date, because this is when I started being a test driver, and it was my first time out of the company with a Miura, which was something that you will never forget.
When was the first time you met Ferruccio?
Well, actually, this was in April. When we had our interview with the only man who was in charge for everything of the company. And I remember me and another guy talking to this man, asking some information, what you like, what can you do, and blah, blah, blah. And suddenly the door opened and the man came in with a cigarette, and he started, I don't want to say yelling, but he started asking, what are you doing here? What's going on? And this man, which was a general director of the company, told him, well, we are trying to understand what these guys may do or would like to do and find a place for them. And this man turned out being Ferruccio Lamborghini. And this was his first time I saw him. He said, we are wasting already too much time. Take one in a service department and take one on a production line, because this is where we need the people. He was Ferruccio Lamborghini, yeah.
what kind of, how would you describe him as a person? Because you obviously got to know him fairly well.
Yes, yeah, I was so lucky to meet him and to grow up with him. He was, you know, he was a very simple man, a farmer, a real farmer, grew up on that area. He was, you know, coming from a very poor family, and and you know, but you know, with so much charisma and so much desire to do things and to do always better things than everybody else. He was a man with a lot of charisma and a lot of enthusiasm, you know, and able to transfer his passion to all of us.
Very inspiring.
Very inspiring person, yes, definitely. Very inspiring person, and you know, it was a pity to leave the company late night, and you know, every time you leave, you wanted to come back as soon as possible, you know, because it was really a beautiful atmosphere, a beautiful, let's say, atmosphere, I would say, yeah.
How many times have you told the story about Ferruccio Lamborghini and Enzo Ferrari?
Well, this is a story that I'm very proud to keep on, because this story comes directly from Ferruccio Lamborghini. I heard him at least 100 times telling this story to journalists, to friends, to customers, you know. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful story, and I think it may be true. Nobody knows exactly.
You want to tell it one more time for us?
Well, of course, you know. The story is that Ferruccio Lamborghini bought a Ferrari for his wife, and every time he wanted to, let's say, show the car to customers, to friends, you know, he was damaging the clutch. And finally, after many times they replaced the clutch of the service department in Ferrari, he wanted to have the car replaced at his company, at the tractor company. And you know, the old mechanics found out that the clutch assembly fitted on his Ferrari was the same clutch assembly fitted on one model of his tractors. So he started really yelling, and because the man didn't have a love too much to spend money or take money out of the pocket. And you know, he started saying, I paid a lot of money for replacing a clutch, and you know, I paid this clutch on my tractor 1/1000th of what I paid the same parts for, you know, a long story. And finally he said, I met Enzo Ferrari and I told him that he is assembling his beautiful cars with my tractor parts. And you know, it seems they started fighting, and you know, and arguing one each other, and Ferruccio and Enzo Ferrari told him, you are a tractor driver, you are a farmer, keep driving your tractors and don't complain about driving my Ferrari. And this is how the story started. I want to make my own sport car, and I will show you how to build them. This is the story.